everybody who is in our industry knows this, but apparently some people don't know this. You have to disclose if you are paid for an ad.
Oh, God, yeah. I've been putting that out there so often. You have to.
You have to. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsorship. There's very specific language that you have to use. You cannot be paid for an ad for a movie and not disclose that. It's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
FTC guidelines, man.
So I think that, again, we've talked about all of our feelings on all of this, but even if you don't believe our feelings or our thoughts or anything, it is illegal to be paid. Do you think that Warner Brothers would risk having a bunch of critics and influencers without hashtag ad, hashtag sponsorship, review positively their movie at risk of being sued for millions and millions of dollars and doing something illegal?
Yeah.
Like that to me is that is fact. It's not opinion. Yeah. So if that's the one thing you didn't know that you take away from this, you can't do that.
Thank you to Shopify for sponsoring this video. More on them in just a bit.
Hello there, citizens of the Reject Nation. This is an impromptu video that we are doing. Roxy showed up in the parking lot. I'm like, hey, you want to talk about this? She's like, yeah, sure. Let's talk about this. Guys, it's time to confess. We're all paid critics. It's true. Here's evidence. Wait, I don't have any evidence. Because it's not freaking real. God dang. So it's weird. Okay, so this weekend, as expected, the Superman embargo lifted, and people who like it are being accused of being shills or paid individuals. And that's really nothing new, right? But I feel like it's stronger than usual.
Definitely.
And
no doubt.
Yeah, right? It's so odd. And I'm like, I was just going to ignore it. And I'm not really coming from a strongly emotional place today. I was kind of taken aback, though, by seeing so many people that we know who are getting lumped into this. How dare you? We just started the damn video.
I felt it coming.
We just started.
Ooh.
No.
The devil came out of me.
No.
You're making a good point. Back to you in the studio, Greg.
I kind of want to do this video for everyone in our field. For those who did like Superman and didn't like Superman, who are critics or influencers or whatever, and kind of go through facts, actual reality of things.
Absolutely. And this is something that I've been getting asked because I think that there are the people that are being vicious who are just making accusations. And those are the people that I don't really care to address. You believe what you believe. Nothing I'm going to say is going to change your mind. But there's a lot of people who are asking questions. How does it work? Are you guys paid? Why did so many people see this 2 weeks ago and they all waited till the same moment to post these glowing reviews? Is that something that's a marketing strategy from them? So I think it's valid that people who aren't in the industry, don't do what we do, wouldn't understand why everybody all at once was saying great things about Superman. And I think that's a fair question that actually has an answer. So I'm happy we're talking about it.
Yeah, the line between critics and influencers seems to be getting incredibly blurred right now. It's like, it seems like studios want, they have two different events often, right? Like they have the influencer event, then they have the critics event. And usually they do generate different vibes when you do go to either one of those. Oftentimes a critic event will be really straightforward, early screening. Maybe they'll give you like popcorn and a drink. If they're not feeling confident about the movie, sometimes they will hook you up with some alcohol. Like I've definitely, yeah.
Cats at an open bar. I'll never forget it.
Oh my God, the one with the Muppets, the R-rated raunchy. That was the first one I went to. It was the R-rated Muppet one with Melissa McCarthy. Totally forgot what it's called. But when we went, it was like you get access to all the concessions. They're trying to spruce you up. They're trying to make you just walk out with a very positive opinion. So yes, they will try their things where they are wanting to prime you where you will have a more positive experience in hopes that you will walk out saying more positive things. So I don't want to completely deny that that is something that they will orchestrate in their events to try to make you have the best outcome, and hopefully you will walk out positive. I got a question for you. Have you ever been influenced by that yourself? Like, have you ever found yourself personally influenced by the tactic of that?
Would one be able to answer that question?
I have. Yeah, I can answer that question.
I guess if you know the answer is yes, and you can. I can't think of a time that I have. Although, to a certain extent, Greg, watching a movie alone on my couch feels different than watching a movie in the theaters in general or watching a movie
Right.
with my friends. So I think I'm influenced by my environment wherever I am, whether that's because of popcorn and candy that's free or whether it's because I like the people I'm seeing a movie with or
Right.
not. So yes, but just as much for being a critic or an influencer as being a human being who your environment matters.
Yeah. I'll make this abundantly clear from the first publicist I ever became actual friends with.
Marshall.
Marshall Weinbaum. He is
best.
he's arguably the best publicist, and he's so well regarded as like top at the top. And I had a lunch with him for something else entirely. And at that point, I wouldn't have called. I'm like, we have a working relationship, but I wouldn't have called him a friend. And I just wanted to ask him out, like, right, crystal clear. 'Cause I'm like, hey, man, sometimes I give negative reviews at the time when he was at Disney. Sometimes I give negative reviews to Disney. That doesn't actually impact me, right? And he's like, no, it doesn't. All they care, and he made it really clear to me, all the studios really care about is that you don't spoil the movie before it's released. That's all they really care. Don't put out leaks and stuff like that. And I was willing to abide by that for the prospect of getting early screenings and stuff, because I used to cover more leaks. And then I went, you know what? That actually makes a lot of sense. I will just avoid the leaks then, and as the one fair compensation for it. But that. He made it really clear that he doesn't give a shit whether or not you give a positive or a negative review. And that's been my experience with every agency or publicist that we've ever worked with constantly. I mean, would you agree with that?
I the thing is, Greg, yes, except for I don't think they don't give a shit.
I mean, yeah, they don't.
They want
yes.
their movies to do well, but they don't want you to lie. Because then what happens is the audience doesn't believe you anymore. If you are positively reviewing a bad movie and somebody takes your word for it and then they go to see the movie and they don't like it, then the next time you say that something is good, they're not going to go see it. And studios know this. They're not stupid. They don't want everybody to just say every movie is great. Otherwise, their audiences won't respect their opinion and won't listen to their opinion. So it wouldn't actually work.
Yeah.
It's not beneficial for them. So, of course, I think that not only does Marshall want the movies to do well, but every publicist is hoping they're working on a good property.
Of course, yeah.
Every person, every artist, everybody wants their things to be well received, but they don't want you to lie about it because it would actually be detrimental to their next movie. They're not on one property. They're on an entire slate of movies for a whole year, 5 years. So they have to think about the big picture here. They can't just think about, I want you to review this movie positively. I saw something going around I wanted to get your thoughts on because I keep hearing, you guys are all paid, you're all paid, they want you to do positive reviews, and I keep saying no, no, no. But somebody sent me from, I believe it was a real 3D screening. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
So there are screenings that are put on by the studios, for the people who don't know, and then there are screenings that are put on not by the studios, but that are studio approved, right? Like Real 3D is a company that puts on for influencers. They have people come to their 3D screenings, and then that's been approved by Disney, Warner Brothers, whatever, to show it in advance, right?
Yeah.
And Real 3D sent out an email saying to people, and I can read it to you exactly, actually, so that I don't butcher this, but essentially what they said was, we want you to review this so that you have a better chance of getting asked back in the future.
Wow, did they really say that?
Yes, they did. And I have thoughts on this because I think this is why a lot of people...
But they didn't say you have to be positive.
They didn't say you have to be positive, but they said, we would like you to social media this screening out. But if you look at the fine print, it's interesting what actually they want you to tag in that is about Real 3D.
Yeah.
Because they're promoting their company, not promoting the movie as much. So this is the exact words. This is somebody named Tyler G. This was a letter to Tyler G. that he put out, said, got invited to a Superman screening, basically told I need to write a good review if I want further opportunities, is what he said.
I saw this, yeah.
You saw this. Okay. So what the actual line that people are talking about is, social posts are not required, but greatly appreciated as they help us prioritize you for future opportunities and events. So I've actually never received something like that. I've never received from Disney or Warner Brothers or Paramount or Sony. I've never received anybody saying, if you don't put this out on social, you're less likely to be invited in the future. That's never happened to me. But if this email is real, which it might be, because again, it's not from Warner Brothers. This is coming from Real 3D. One of the things I thought was interesting that nobody was talking about and wasn't in the highlights was they said that what they would like you to post or tag if you are posting is, thank you, Real 3D, for inviting me to the screening event of Superman. And that's interesting that the first thing is, thank you, Real 3D. It's more about promoting their company and less about, they just want the word out about their company, social posts about it. What do you think about that? And have you ever received anything like that?
I could see how if someone is not reading clearly that they might feel like they're receiving it in a way where they feel like they have to be positive about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with what they're saying. Like, if they're going to invite you to an event, the least you can do is fulfill doing a review about it. Like, that makes perfect sense to me, especially because there are people who will go to press screenings sometimes and do these things, but they won't ever talk about it. They won't ever review it. And I can imagine that on the person's end who is inviting people to this, the one requirement that or the one ask that they really have is just put your opinion out about it. And to kind of piggyback off of what you're talking about there, when I'm hearing this thing about like early screening access too, of what people are saying with, if you get, like, we saw this a lot on our socials, because you went to an early screening, you're a shill, which is the weirdest thing to me to hear, because there's people, I'm okay with people generalizing us as, you guys seem like you're often optimistic or more positive leaning. I'm like, that's not a bad thing, sure. But there's also the opposite people who people are very familiar with. There's a critic, and I think you've worked with him before, and I love his videos. I watch them every single week, Jeremy Johns.
Yeah, we started Screen Junkies Plus together.
That's right.
I like Jeremy a lot.
Yeah, you have a history with him. And Jeremy is someone I watch every week. Again, I love his videos. He is often not positive on a lot of movies, a lot of Disney movies. Yet he's constantly going to early screenings. So if this rhetoric that going to an early screening is them telling you have to be positive, and like, then why are the people who are usually negative leaning beyond Jeremy Johns still always going back?
Jeff Snyder would be another
Jeff Snyder.
one.
There's a billion other names we could think of.
Even John Roca, for specifically Superman, said he couldn't stand the Superman marketing. He was not excited about the movie because of how much he didn't like what it looked like going into it, didn't like the trailers, and they still invited him to the movie. Yeah.
Well, we were talking before. Like, I can think of several things. There are several movies I can think of from Warner Brothers that I went to the Shazam Fury of the Gods movie premiere. Took a photo with Zach Levi. That James Gunn and Peter Safran were in attendance. I really did not like that movie. There's a whole review on here. You could just see the thumbnail. It's like, they clearly did not like this movie. And yet Warner Brothers still keeps inviting us back to go to early screenings or certain events. At Godzilla X Kong, I was telling you about before, in another Warner Brothers movie where John and I were privileged to hang out with the director before the screening, show us this cool behind the scenes stuff. They did a whole thing. Again, of course, they want you to, pepper you up to make you like it more.
To make you in a good mood.
To put you in a good mood. Yeah, it makes sense from the business side, but we still gave a not glowing review. I was not positive about that film, and we still get invited back. So that to me is already like an indication that all that is bullshit of what these accusations are, of what they're saying. And I think people will use something like what you were pointing out, that screenshot, because they've already made it up in their minds that this is the reality. So they're manipulating words and text when really, like, dude, just read the text. They're just saying they want you to do a review of it. That's plain and simple.
For a company, they were just saying, can you post that you were here at a real 3D screening?
IMAX wants the same thing from us.
Right.
IMAX just wants you to hashtag IMAX. I've said it many times, if there's one thing I shill for, it's the format of IMAX.
Because it promotes their format. That's what these people want. So it's so unfair to Warner Brothers to say that they are trying to get people to only do positive reviews about Superman when that was the one piece of quote unquote evidence I even saw online that they were even asking people to post about it. And it wasn't coming from Warner Brothers. It was coming from Real 3D. No shade on Real 3D. I think it's totally fair that they asked people to do that. But that wasn't even a Warner Brothers email. So it made me very frustrated. But I had to take a step back and realize it's because people don't know. They don't know the difference. They don't know that there are different screenings, like you said, for influencers versus critics. Some are run through the studio, some are not run through the studio. So instead of being frustrated, I'm really glad we're taking a minute to explain. And hopefully there are some reasonable people out there who realize that this is not the same thing as being paid to be positive.
Yeah.
Which if I was paid to be positive, I wouldn't be renting my little apartment struggling to pay my bills sometimes. And also morally, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I have been paid to promote that a movie exists that I haven't seen yet. I've been paid to say like, hey, check this thing out when it comes out. I've never been paid to review a movie positively. I've never been paid for that. And I wouldn't be paid for that because I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
That's bonkers to me.
And now, do they sometimes offer? There's one studio I can think of in particular. I won't call them out. We actually just got an invite from them. They offered the whole thing. They did not say if they have a positive review, but they're like, we're going to send a limo. We'll do the whole freaking offer. Really? And I was like, wow, that does sound fun for a movie I have zero interest in watching. And I just didn't reply, even though like it sounds like great. Maybe I'll do it just for the free shit, but I'm not gonna. I love the free stuff. Don't get me wrong. I love going to the events, getting the free merch and whatever. I love it. But I do think though, to be fair, I can totally fathom that there are people who do think they have to be positive in order to keep getting the invites back. I completely believe that is a reality that some people feel they have to live in. And maybe there's some truth to that I am totally unaware of. That maybe if you are, I don't want to say any names, but there's like some people I can think of who are like constantly the hype machine. Maybe they do that so they can keep working with them.
Okay, let me address that for a second, because I think of anybody on this channel, I am accused of being the most positive person.
Really?
Oh my gosh.
You?
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
John, would you second this?
How'd you feel about the Happy Time murders?
I don't remember. Did I watch that?
I don't think I would necessarily peg you as the person who would reliably love anything we put in front of you.
That is so interesting. It's the one like consistent piece of comments that I get nonstop.
That you like everything or something?
That I like everything.
Got it. Yeah.
Including Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, that I think that's why people were so upset. But I think I'm mostly talking about for movies that I review. Here's why, and you guys might not know this about me because we are doing watch-alongs here, which is different, and reactions, live reactions, where I'm seeing something and I'm speaking on it. I don't review anything I don't like. That's my policy. When I go to these screenings, I don't do, on my own personal page, I don't review a movie I don't like.
Why?
Because I'm an artist, and I think it's an absolute waste of my time to crap on somebody else's art because I am not a critic. That's not what I do for a living. I'm not here to tell you these are the good movies, these are the bad movies, that's my opinion on them. I'm here to hype up art that I love when I love it. And there is absolutely zero requirement for me for any of these studios to do a review for them.
Do you ever feel like you overhype
No.
for the intention of it? I mean, I'm asking you the question because I'm setting
right.
you up, but I realize I already know the answer.
I really don't ever because I just won't do a review for something I don't like because I'm allowed to do that. I don't work for a company that forces me to do reviews for movies that I don't like. So I don't. It's just not fun for me. I think that it's completely useful for other people.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that nobody else should review movies poorly. If you're a critic, if you're an influencer with this is what you're doing, and you want to review every movie you see, positively or negatively, I think there's so much merit to that.
Yeah.
That's not me. I'm an artist, and I am not saying critics aren't artists, but the kind of artist I am is I want to spread love and joy, and I want to positively talk about the things I love, and the things I don't like, I just want to forget about and leave them at the door. And so I have told everybody, if I tell you I'm going to see something, and then you don't see me review it, you know what happened.
It's a Chris Stuckman approach.
You know what happened. I didn't end up liking it. And it's a waste of my time personally to sit there and create content about why I didn't like something.
Yeah.
Unless something made me mad. Unless something was bigoted and I wanted to talk about like this was inappropriate and they shouldn't have made this. This is not art. This is something else. If I just don't like a movie, it just didn't work for me, I just don't talk about it. And so because of that, here's how you know they don't just invite positive people. Every review I do is positive because I don't review the movies that I don't want to see. And yet I was taken to Superman by you as a +1. I wasn't invited. And I am so positive about DC in general, but I wasn't invited. So just doing positive reviews, which is all I do, doesn't get you invited to things. So I know that approach doesn't work. It's not why I do that approach. That would be a bummer if it was why I did it, because I know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work to be positive and then expect to be invited. That's not what gets you invited for things. When I used to do DC movie news back in the day, and I used to talk about every one of the movies, Man of Steel came out. We then started DC movie news, and for an entire year, I talked every day about how much I did not like that movie. I was very upset about the dog and the dad. I'll leave it at that. It just was not, it didn't work for me. I ended up really liking a lot of DC movies in the future, but for a whole year, I every day said, this movie does not work for me. And you know what? Warner Brothers then started inviting me to the lot to see the DC movies. After I had said, this movie did not work for me. Now I'm positive about everything, and sometimes I don't get invited. So there isn't a direct correlation between those things, like people assume there is.
You hit I was wondering where you were going with all that, and I was like, damn, you really looped that in really well.
You're like, why is she noveling? What is this monologue about?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry it took me so long to get there.
I like the tethering that it eventually got back to. That was really well done. And you are 100% correct.
Reject Nation, when we started our Reject Nation shop, I honestly thought that we would only sell to like a handful of people who liked our channel. But thanks to you guys, it's grown into something way bigger. We've now recently been able to hire new artists, expand our designs, and reinvest back into the business. And none of that would have been possible without Shopify. Always great to re-partner with a brand whose product we've already been using before we ever partnered with them. Shopify is the platform that powers millions of businesses around the world, and 10% of all e-commerce in the US. From household names like Mattel and Gymshark to creators like us just getting started. You don't need to be a tech whiz. With hundreds of beautiful templates, Shopify helps you build a unique online store that feels like you. That's why unique starts with the letter U. No code necessary. It's also got built-in AI tools that help write product descriptions, headlines, enhance images, you name it. You can run email and social campaigns, manage inventory, fulfill orders, and track everything all from the same place. So if you're ready to sell, you're ready to use Shopify. So turn your big idea into a real business with Shopify on your side, just like we did. Go to shopify.com/rejects to start your $1 per month trial. That's shopify.com/rejects. Thank you again, Shopify, for sponsoring this video.
And I think I'm just trying to understand, though, why the world now is so hell-bent on this narrative. Like, this narrative just feels, it's so conspiracy theory-like, and I know our world seems to really feed off of conspiracy theory type of thinking these days as facts.
Okay, I have a conspiracy theory about what it might be.
Why?
Well, I have a question for you, I guess. Do you think, because you said it's most specifically about this movie, is more intense?
I think it slingshotted it to a new direction, yeah.
Is this about previous iterations of Superman and who they were done by and who DC was done by versus now where we are? Is this a Snyder versus Gunn battle? And is that why the internet is so hell-bent on proving that this is because people are being paid and it's not actually a good movie?
Yes, I think that is 100% a fact. I mean, that's a very obvious factor to why it's happening with Superman, because we mainly see this correlation with fandom related stuff, whether it be Marvel, DC. John and I loved the latest Doctor Who iteration, even though we didn't love all of it. We loved it for the most part, but we saw it with the Doctor Who fandom. It's usually within fandoms where this shit's happening. And of course, the DC fandom has such a divide already, because normally it's like kind of binary. You know, you either like Doctor Who or you don't like Doctor Who. But in DC, it's a weird thing with Zack Snyder and James Gunn specifically, not so much about the characters, you know. And I think that's why it's probably like gotten to that point. But I'm kind of vexed for everyone in this field, like even the influencers, honestly, because the influencers maybe they do feel the pressure. Like I can attest to when I have felt the pressures to like something. I had to learn to separate myself from movie premieres. It was weird. Like I saw the Eternals at the movie premiere, and I really didn't like the movie, and I was very honest about it.
I love that movie.
I know a lot of people do, and a lot of people come around on that. Thor: Love and Thunder is a prime example of when I definitely let myself get influenced, where I felt the pressure to like it, and then the crowd was laughing a lot, and I wasn't really laughing, but the crowd was laughing a lot. And now I like the movie. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, actually, guys, I hate this movie. But I definitely thought I liked it way more than I actually did because I was at the premiere and I let the reaction of others seep into my brain. So I had to get good at separating myself and having my own individual experience with stuff like that.
I think that's a really fair point, Greg. Premieres are different than press screenings. They feel very different.
They're hypes, yeah.
I felt similarly about going to see the Venom movies. I went to the premieres of those, and it was the most fun experience ever. And I walked out saying that was the greatest time. And even now when I watch back the Venom movies, I have such a place in my heart for them because I had the greatest time watching them.
At the premiere. Yeah.
Right. But do I think that those are elite movies? Maybe not. Perhaps not. But that's why it's just an opinion.
Yeah.
It's just an opinion. That's what critics, influencers, it's all just an opinion. Make up your mind for yourself, of course. Like you're allowed to feel how you're feeling in a moment.
Yeah.
You're not married to that. You're allowed to change your mind. And that's something that we are seemingly not allowed to do on the internet. You're allowed to go and see Love and Thunder, have a great experience, talk about it, and then a year later, it's allowed to hit you differently and you to feel differently about it because of how you watched it or who you are.
Or like a week later when you go and you're like, wait a minute, now that there's not a big crowd, now watching this, I don't really like this as much as I thought I did.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, but that's the part of art that, especially with movies, that I feel like people are forgetting. When I went to the premiere of Superman, which weirdly, and I texted you about it, I was like, I kind of get the vibe here that like half the people don't like it from the crowd's reaction during the film. Because like the screening we went to the first time, it wasn't a hype crowd. It really wasn't. It wasn't a full theater, and people weren't like cheering the whole time. They only like clapped at one moment. And the same thing happened at the premiere. They only clapped at one moment, the fight scene of Terrific.
I felt differently than you did at the screening that we went to.
You thought it was like a hype screening in the crowd when we were watching it? I felt there was a lot of like skeptics.
I felt that the people around me were extremely emotionally invested in the movie.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
A hype crowd, if you mean rah-rah
I mean,
cheering,
like, yeah, we laugh at everything and clap at everything. I don't feel like that was, I think, but we were all definitely, I saw tears everywhere. Yeah.
Right. I just felt like I could tell everybody was loving
They were
this.
taking it seriously.
Seriously, yeah.
Exactly. That's very different than a premiere crowd, which is like, oh, a name. Like everyone's just clapping all the time. And
what Greg is referencing for anybody who's never been to a premiere is literally anytime somebody's name appears on the screen, people start like, yay, John! John, you rock! Like it's a crazy thing that I've only ever seen happen.
Yeah, and no one ever thinks that John rocks. People hate Johns all the time.
I didn't
John
even mean our
worst.
John. Sorry, John.
John. Is that in the recording?
I do think
Jasmine
John
can't hear it. Jasmine's in the room.
There was a wow.
But when I was in the theater for the premiere, I was talking to a couple individuals, and again, I don't want to like put anyone else's opinions out there, and they had seen it before, and they were like, "Yeah, I liked it. I didn't love it," and I was talking with them, and I was going, "Look, I can 100% see the flaws in this movie, but I'm walking away with my emotional experience of the film. Yes, I can logically see things, and maybe the logic can sometimes affect the emotional takeaway, but sometimes the emotional takeaway is just so strong that it's not really interfering with the logical side." And to that point, I'm like, and sometimes a premiere can have that effect. Sometimes there's nothing really wrong with being enveloped in the enthusiasm of excitement of seeing this be brought to life. There's actually, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I do think, though, if you are a critic or someone who is on the internet where people rely on you for reviews, I think you have to make that very clear, like as an ethic thing, that like I was part of this and at least even bring it into question. Like, was my experience maybe influenced? Maybe, but here's how I feel right now.
Are you a critic?
I'm on press list, so I feel like I'm a critic. I'm trying to get on Rotten Tomatoes.
Are you an influencer?
I don't know. We had this talk at Superman. This is why I don't really get invited to stuff, and then and studios often get confused on where to put me. Like sometimes I'm invited to the influencer thing. I've had things where like, oh, I heard about this event. Oh, we consider you a critic, so you can't go, from the same studios. And then sometimes the same studio will go, oh, we consider you an influencer, so you can't go to the critic thing. I'm like, this is the same studio. So they don't really know where to put me. I've always just called myself a YouTuber. That's all I've ever really been to me.
Yeah, I guess I feel very similarly to you, where I'm not exactly sure where I lie. And I know that they kind of have different responsibilities when it comes to movies.
Exactly. And if you're a critic, I think you got to make it abundantly clear of that type of experience. But if you're someone like us, I'm like, just make it clear what your experience is.
Because who's to say that an emotional response isn't as important as a mental,
As an
intellectual, right? Like as I keep saying, I'm an artist. I'm an artist, and I care how something makes you feel more than what you think about it. Sometimes.
1,000%.
And so when I go to see, do I want to see this movie? And I look online for people's responses. If somebody had an emotional thought on it, and if it impacted them, it's very much in a way that made them happy, sad, whatever it is. That's what makes me want to go see a movie.
Yeah.
I don't really care as much about when people are reviewing things and they're like, well, the way that the third act came too late, the pacing felt that, and I know people do care about that stuff. And it's not that I never care about it. It's just that doesn't make me want to or not want to go to a movie as much. I want to know how it made you feel. How did you feel?
Yeah. I mean, that's our stances on stuff. I personally do not do paid reviews. I can recall a very specific time when this channel was not doing well, barely making rent. And one time, I won't say what the movie is, we got offered, our rent at the time was $1,800. We got offered $3,000 to do a review for this. Do you remember this movie, John? It was like a ride share horror movie.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it's, I honestly don't remember the name of it. And I asked, like, can we watch it first? And we really did not like this movie a lot. And we needed that money, but we just couldn't. And this is when we were broke. And we were like, sorry, we just really don't like this movie, and we cannot agree to do this.
Because once you cross that line, you can't really uncross
no
it. We haven't spoken on this, Greg, and I just want to make this abundantly clear. You and I talk about this. We know this. Jasmine knows this. John knows this. Everybody who is in our industry knows this, but apparently some people don't know this. You have to disclose if you are paid for an ad.
Oh, God, yeah. I've been putting that out there so often. You have to.
You have to. Hashtag ad, hashtag sponsorship. There's very specific language that you have to use. You cannot be paid for an ad for a movie and not disclose that. It's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal.
FTC guidelines, man.
So I think that, again, we've talked about all of our feelings on all of this, but even if you don't believe our feelings or our thoughts or anything, it is illegal to be paid. Do you think that Warner Brothers would risk having a bunch of critics and influencers without hashtag ad, hashtag sponsorship, review positively their movie at risk of being sued for millions and millions of dollars and doing something illegal?
Yeah.
Like that to me is that is fact. It's not opinion. Yeah. So if that's the one thing you didn't know that you take away from this, you can't do that.
Yeah. See, like I've put that opinion out there. And what I was addressing first was all the things that people follow that up with, but what about this? What about this? So I wanted to, because we should have started with that, but I wanted to talk about the persuasion element that some people maybe not be aware of, and absolutely shine a light on the fact that maybe some people do feel pressured, but really you don't need to. Like any critic or influencer watching this, you really don't need to feel pressured unless they're fucking saying some shit to you where they are making you feel pressured.
Which has never happened to me.
Never happened to you. There was one time it happened to me, and I hated it. Hated the experience. And I've never done it again. It was so many years ago.
Can you tell us what happened? Not who?
Yeah, absolutely. It was some movie from a famous director's son, is what I'll say. And we went to the event, and there was a bunch of big people there. Logan Paul was there. It was this huge event, and they were like, go to the thing and promote the event and promote that you're going to go see the movie and then do a review on it. And I loathed this experience. I hated the film so much. And then they said something to me that wasn't directly, you have to be positive, but it was so implied. And this was so many years ago. This was before that even story I just told you about the other one.
Did they write it to you or did they verbalize this to you?
Emailed, yeah.
Okay.
And then, but I was like, and it was like, they paid us like $1,000 to attend the thing, right? And we just danced around our words, you know, like, hey, if you like this kind of movie, you will probably like. Having to do that was like never again. And then later on, we got an offer for $3,000 for that other one where we didn't even have to go to an event. But we were like, no. It was a big learning experience. Even though it wasn't direct, I hated the pressure of even feeling the implication that I have to think and feel a certain way. I hated it so much.
And that's the one and only time that's happened to you where
one and only time.
I'm sure it does happen to some people. I'm sure it does. I've been doing this for 15 years and it's never happened to me. You've been doing this for over a decade. It happened to you one time. So I'm not saying it never happens, but it seems pretty rare.
What was that Jim Caviezel movie from Angel Studios? Sound of Freedom. A lot of people were getting paid review offers for that. I know someone personally who got an email offered, and it was a lot of money, and he was tempted because of how much money.
But then they had to
They didn't
disclose that it was paid.
Exactly. Like, I'm even from the side of, even if they're saying even if they put in your email, you don't have to be positive, we just want you to review it. The fact that they're paying you, I feel like immediately discredits your credibility automatically. I think people would right away distrust you. That, well, how can we really trust you? Even if you're told you can be positive or negative, you were paid, so you probably feel like you have to be positive. So even in that sense, I would never take a payment.
I think that's totally fair. I don't believe I would either. However, I don't even think it matters because the point is you have to disclose it.
You have to disclose it.
So if you, as a viewer at home, if you see somebody, it says ad or sponsorship, and you know that they were paid, you can take it however you want. But I don't think that there's anything morally corrupt about that. The person who's taking that, everybody's got to eat. And if that's what you got to do, there's a reason why you have to disclose if you're being paid. And so those are the rules to protect people so that you then don't go out and spend your hard-earned money on that movie because you were influenced by somebody who was being paid. So they have to say that they were paid. So if you don't want to follow those people's reviews, that makes perfect sense to me. But those people doing the reviews, I totally understand where they're coming from. If you had taken the $3,000 to pay rent, I wouldn't have judged you for it. Work is work. You have to say you're paid, and that's how that goes.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. I can go through the gambit, and you can go through the gambit of the countless early screenings we have been to where we did not like a movie, but I feel like we've made our points pretty clear. Thanks for doing this with me, Roxy. It was cathartic.
How do you think the comments are going to be?
Kind
I and friendly.
There'll be some who are like, don't listen to the haters. And
we love you guys.
We love you guys. We know the truth. And there'll be others who are like, yeah, you're still shills. And it doesn't matter.
React to Sound of Freedom.
I'd rather be a voice for, what's the phrase? I'd rather light one candle in the room is what I'd rather do.
I've never heard that expression. I like it.
Yeah, I've heard that. Sometimes I think that way. I'm like, I'm going to be honest about something, and I hope it lights one candle in the room, and that's all that matters to me. Save one life, Justice League. Oh, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Thanks for being here, Roxy. Now let's go watch a poop-filled movie.
He really means it.